Philadelphia News, team of my heart.
You're tired of watching a team built to win fall apart before your eyes. The injuries, the false hope, the silence around Joel Embiid's future. But now, the Sixers have made their decision. And you need to hear this Sixers news and trade update today. You've been patient. Way too patient. You sat through another season where Joel Embiid limped out of your screen. More than he dominated it. You waited while Paul George missed game after game, and you watched Tyrese Maxey put on a smile while his body was clearly saying not today. You saw flashes, brief, electric flashes of what this Sixers team could be, but you never saw the full picture. You never got the chance. And that's the pain. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Not after bringing in a player like George. Not after Maxey's leap into stardom. Not when you already had the reigning MVP on your roster, Joel Embiid. But reality hit. Hard. Embiid played just 19 games. Maxey, shut down. George, gone by All-Star break. The dream turned to silence. The Wells Fargo Center got quieter game after game, and you were left asking, is it time? Time to move on from Embiid? Time to admit it's over? You're not alone. That question has echoed across every bar in Philly, every group chat, every late-night podcast, and now it's hit the front office. But here's the twist. The Sixers aren't ready to give up. According to Mark Stein, the organization still believes, despite the heartbreak, despite the rehab videos and the empty playoff bracket, this isn't a farewell tour. This is one last chance. They're sticking with Joel Embiid. And that stings. A little, doesn't it? You've seen this movie before, but now there's a new layer to it. Because it's not just about loyalty, it's about cost. Just by standing still, keeping that Noah 3 pick, Philly's payroll balloons. Over $11.1 million added just by existing in this position. And the result? The Sixers are willing to walk right into the second tax apron. You don't do that unless you think you're close dot, so they're not tearing it down. They're building around it again. You're staring at a core of Embiid, George, and Maxey. 3 names, 3 different timelines, 1 fragile clock. And last season, that trio appeared in just 15 games, 7 wins, 8 losses. That's it. That's all you saw. And yet, that tiny sample is enough to keep the organization invested. Let that sit with you for a second. You watched Embiid dominate MVP-level games and then vanish with another knee procedure. You saw George flash his two-way brilliance and then shut it down. Maxey was electric, but he too ran out of gas. And now you're being asked to believe again that this core can contend. But maybe they're right. Because what if those 15 games weren't the warning sign, but the preview? What if, given a clean slate, a full training camp, and a roster that actually fits around them, this trio can become what it was always meant to be? It's not blind faith. It's a calculated bet. And here's the twist. They're doing it while holding the No. 3 pick in the 2025 NBA draft. That pick, it could be used in a blockbuster trade. Or it could become the next Tyrese Maxey. The pressure's real. The margin for error is gone. But for the Sixers, it's full throttle. With or without your trust dots. So now I'm asking you, do you believe in one last shot for Embiid, George, and Maxey? Or is it already too late? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Is this the right call? Or is Philly about to waste another year chasing ghosts? You don't have time for fairy tales. You've seen the pattern. The Sixers talk big in the summer. But when the games start counting, the bodies break down. Every season begins with talk about windows, chemistry, trust in the process. And every season ends with a headline about a knee, a hamstring, or some non-contact injury that just won't heal. And yet, here you are again. The team's doubling down. They're throwing real money into this core, pushing themselves to the edge of the second apron, betting everything on a big 3 that hasn't even proven they can stay on the court. for a month straight. But here's where it gets complicated for you. Because deep down, you remember what Embiid can do when he's upright. You remember that stretch where he looked like a giant with guard handles, hitting fadeaways, tossing no-look passes, and swatting shots like it was personal. You know what George brings when he's locked in. The smooth mid-range, the calm leadership, the veteran IQ. And Maxey, you saw the leap. That wasn't a fluke. That was real. That kid's motor doesn't stop. So how do you balance that potential with the pain it keeps bringing? You know the numbers. Embiid averaged 23.8 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 4.5 assists last season. That's not MVP level. Sure, but that's still better than most bigs in the league on their best night. And he did that on one leg. George still dropped efficient nights when he was on. Maxey fought through everything thrown at him, giving you elite speed, improved defense, and clutch moments that didn't feel forced. That's the part that messes with you. They weren't bad. They were just broken dots, so you've got to ask yourself, is it more dangerous to keep hoping or to move on? That's what the front office had to figure out, and they made their decision. The trade talk, they're shutting it down. At least for now. There's no Embiid deal coming. No restart. No process to 0.0. The Sixers are running it back, whether you're ready for it or not. Because for them, the alternative is worse. Blow it up, and you're stuck in mediocrity for the next 5 years. Keep the core, and maybe, just maybe, you finally get that healthy stretch at the right time. But don't get it twisted. This isn't a safe move. This is high-stakes poker. The Sixers have limited cap flexibility. They've already committed over $100 million to 3 players. There's no room for error. And now, every injury, every rest day, every rumor will carry weight. The team's betting that they'll have better luck this year. That's the word, luck. Because they've got talent. They've got experience. What they haven't had is health. And now you start wondering how much longer that window really is. Embiid turns 31. George is 35. Maxey is still young. But how long can you ask him to carry the future while dragging the past? The draft pick could change things. It could be flipped for another piece. Or kept and developed into the next Maxey. But either way, the Sixers are walking a tightrope. You also can't ignore how much pressure this puts on Nick Nurse. Last season, he didn't get to coach the team he thought he'd have. This season, there are no excuses. Everyone's watching. If the Sixers flame out again, heads will roll. And you know how this city works. Philly doesn't tolerate failure dressed up as optimism. The noise is coming, and fast dots, so now you're left to sit with the facts. The Sixers could have started over. They could have traded Embiid, stockpile picks, and started the rebuild while Maxey was still young enough to lead it. But they didn't. They made a different choice. They chose to believe. They chose the hard path. And whether that's bold or foolish, that's something only time will tell. What about you? Would you have made the same decision? Or do you think the Sixers just wasted the most valuable asset they had? Drop your take in the comments. I want to know where you stand. Is Embiid still worth the gamble? Or has Philly already waited too long? You're still here because deep down, you haven't let go. And maybe, just maybe, part of you still believes that Joel Embiid has one more full season in him. Not just physically, but emotionally. Because when he's locked in, when his body's right, there's no one like him. You've seen it with your own eyes. 50-point nights, MVP chants raining down from the rafters. Opposing centers looking helpless. That version of Embiid, he makes you believe anything's possible. But you also know the cost of believing in a mirage. You've had your heart ripped out year after year. The 2021 collapse to the Hawks. The heartbreak against Boston. And this past season, it didn't even get off the ground. You watched your core play 15 games together. That's it. and they still think it's worth
And
another
here's
go.
where it really gets
That's
tricky.
where the fear
If the
creeps
Sixers
in.
don't
Not
move the
fear
pick,
of failure.
it
but
means
fear
one of
of
two
wasting
things.
time.
Either nobody
wasting
bit,
Maxey's
or
prime
Murray
actually believes
wasting
Bailey,
George's
edge
last
comb,
good years,
or Johnson
wasting
is a
your
future
energy.
star worth building
but this
around.
isn't just about
And if
Embiid.
that's
It's about
the
the
case,
message.
You
The
better
Sixers
believe
are
the next
planting
few
their
weeks
flag.
in free agency
No rebuild.
and trades will define
No
what
halfway
direction
plans.
this
Franchise
They're keeping
is
the
truly
pick,
heading
eating
in,
the luxury
because
tax,
no matter
and
who they
loading up
draft,
for one more push.
you can't run it
and
back
when you
with what
see
you
that
had
kind
last
of conviction,
season,
you know
especially
that
from a front
office
know
that's
that.
been anything
And
but
I
steady
promise
over
you,
the years.
Maury knows
You have
that.
to ask,
But let's
what do
zoom
they
in
know
even
that
tighter.
we don't?
Charlotte,
Maybe
and
it's what they've
Utah.
seen behind
the
the
Hornets
scenes.
are desperate
Maybe
for a culture
it's how
reset.
Embiid's moving
They
in
need high
workouts.
character players
Maybe
who can grow
it's
with
Maxey's
Lamo.
leadership.
VJ
Behind
Edgecombe
closed
is
doors.
that kind of guy.
Or maybe it's
Utah,
just desperation.
They've got assets.
Because let's be
They've
honest,
got youth.
if this
and
fails,
they're looking for the one
there's
player
no
to
backup
tie it
plan.
all together.
Embiid's trade
You think
value
they'll
drops.
just sit back.
George is
and
1 year
let Philly
older.
take the guy they
Maxey
want.
might not want to
if they
stick
believe
around for
Morey's
another
serious.
rebuild. The
Not
rope is
if the
thin,
pressure works.
and the fall is
And this
long.
is where the leverage
and then there's
game
the draft
becomes
pick.
war.
Because one of
three
these teams
overall
might blink.
selection.
They
It's
might
a
cave.
wild card
They
that
might
changes
offer an extra
everything.
pick.
That
or
pick
a
could be used
player
in
that
a trade
fits
to bring in a
perfectly next to
star that
Embiid
fits
and
better.
Maxey.
A younger
Something
wing,
that tips the
a
scale.
tough two-way big.
And suddenly,
Or they could
you
keep it
go
and build
from a
with
risky
patience.
no at 3 pick
Surround
to a real
Embiid
contender
and
Maxey
Maxey
with youth and
That's
energy.
the game Morey's
but
playing.
you know how
It's
Philly
not
is.
checkers,
This
it's
city
chess.
doesn't wait.
And every
You want
rumor,
results.
every leak,
Now,
every
so how do
insider
you fix
tweet.
it?
It's
How
all
do you
part
turn
of the
hope
show.
into wins?
You've
It
seen
starts with
how
health,
this goes
but
before.
it doesn't end
You
there.
remember when Sam
This
Hinkie
roster
used to
needs
treat
identity.
every draft pick
Last
like
season
gold.
was chaos.
Morey's cut from a
Injuries,
different cloth.
DNPs,
He's
emergency
aggressive,
signings. You never
strategic,
got a rhythm.
and sometimes
this time
yeah,
around,
there
even
are no
manipulative.
excuses.
But that's the
Nick
price
Nurse
of winning
has
in
to
today's
define what
NBA.
this team is.
You've got
Is it
to
a defensive
outthink,
powerhouse,
out-leverage,
a pace and
and
space
outmaneuver
offense,
every
a
other
max
team
to-led
in the
attack with
league,
Embiid as the
especially
closer.
when your
It
margin
can't
for
be
error
all
is
of
this
the above.
thin. Let's
It
be
needs
real.
focus.
If the
And
Sixers
the
land
role
the
players,
right, they've
deal.
got to show up.
This no
you
three
can't
pick
afford
becomes
dead
the
weight.
biggest move
Ricky
of the
Council.
offseason.
For
Bigger than
Jared
free
McCain,
agency.
Kelly
Bigger
Oubre
than
Jr.,
any trade
Quentin
that's out there
Grimes.
right now.
They don't
Because
just
you're
need to
talking
play.
about flipping
They
potential
need to
into
produce.
production.
Because when
Flipping
Embiid's
uncertainty
when
into
George takes a night
security.
off, you need
That's
to
what
see
you've
this
been
team
begging
keep
for.
its
A
identity.
front office
That's
that
what
knows
separates
how to act when
contenders
it matters
from
most.
pretenders.
But if they
and
get
if
it
they
wrong,
do,
if
they
they
actually
overplay
get
their
a
hand
full
or
season
settle
of
for the
health,
wrong prospect,
cohesion,
and
then
smart
you're looking
rotation
at another
management,
year.
then
Another.
This
round
team
of
could
post-game
absolutely
interviews
make a
where
run.
Embiid says
You've
all
got
the
the
right
scoring,
things,
the
and you're
defense,
sitting there
the
thinking,
versatility,
how did we blow
the
it again?
experience.
And here's
But
the real
most of all,
emotional dagger.
you've got unfinished
because I
business.
know it's in the
Embiid
back of your
knows
mind
the
too.
clock is
What
ticking.
if this
George
is
is
the
chasing
year
his
Embiid
first draft
rings
out?
Maxey wants
What
to be
if
the
this front
face of
office
the
doesn't make a
future.
bold enough
You want to
move?
see it all
And you
finally
lose
come
the
together.
best big
Dot.
man
So
this
here's what you
franchise
do
has
right
had
now.
since Wilt.
Subscribe to the
That
channel
fear is real.
and hit that bell.
It's sitting in your
because
chest
this
every
Sixers
time a
season
big
is going to
decision
be
like
one
this
of the
comes
most
up.
emotional
And this draft,
unpredictable.
This
and
is one of
dramatic
those
stories in the
decisions. Dot.
NBA.
So Morey
and
has
you
to
don't
nail
want to
this.
miss a single
Whether
Sixers
it's
news
Bailey,
update or a
Edgecombe,
major trade
or
alert.
a trade.
And now
it has
it's
to
your
hit.
turn.
Because
do you believe
if
this
it
is
doesn't,
Embiid's last
the
real
entire
shot
future
to win
of this
in Philly?
franchise shifts?
Or has the
It's
front
that
office
deep.
made a mistake
And
by
you know
not
it.
pulling the
You
trigger
feel it.
on a trade while
Now
his value
pause.
was still high?
Take that in.
Let me
The
know
no
in the
3 pick.
comments.
The
Tell
bait,
me exactly what
the
you would have
bluff,
done if
the
you were in
pressure,
charge. The possibility. This isn't just a rumor. This is a high-stakes move in one of the most unpredictable drafts in years. And you're right in the middle of it. Because your voice, your passion, is what drives this team to do better. So now, you know everything. You've got the inside track on what's going on behind closed doors in Camden. But this isn't just about rumors or smokescreens anymore. It's about you, your team, and what it all means for the Sixers' future that's been hanging in limbo ever since Game 6 in Miami, ever since the Kawhi bounce, ever since the process got paused and rewritten a dozen different ways. Let me ask you something. Haven't you been through enough false promises? Haven't you waited long enough? You've given your time, your emotion, your soul to this team. You've watched legends come and go. You believed in Hinkie. You rode with Embiid when the league laughed at his injuries. You've stuck around around through Simmons, Harden, and now this pivot into another high-pressure summer. You've watched the Sixers get close so many times, and somehow you're still here, still believing, still waiting for that moment. And if Daryl Morey nails this no 3 pick. Whether by keeping it or flipping it, it could finally be that moment. But here's the truth. They can't do it without you. Not really. This team, this city, it's built on energy, passion, fight. Philly doesn't just support its teams. You define them. And when front office executives and agents and scouts try to make their calculations, they're looking at you, too. They hear your voice on social media. They feel your heat when you're not happy. And they know you're watching every single move. That's why I need you to do something right now. If you felt even half of what I just laid out, if you've been holding on to hope that this team is finally gonna get it right, then hit that subscribe button right now. Click the bell, too, so you never miss an update. Because this is more than news. This is your team's next chapter unfolding in real time. And I promise you, I'm gonna keep you locked in on every twist, every trade, every pick, before it hits the headlines. You deserve to know first. You deserve the real story. And you deserve to feel like you're in this, not just watching from the sidelines. So if you bleed red, white, and blue, if that 76 on your chest means something real, then let's ride through this together. From Ace Bailey meetings to trade talks with Utah and Charlotte, to the second the Sixers make that call on draft night, I got you, and you got them. Subscribe now. Click that bell. Be ready, because the Sixers, they're not just making a pick. They're deciding their future. And you're part of that story.